This is a very impressive front door.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, just the scale of it. It's very wide. It's got this enormous stained glass panel in it, which, you know, understandably has seen better days.
But is fixable and restorable.
Definitely fixable. I mean, I think a stained glass conservator is going to be among the craftspeople that we will need for this house. We've got some missing pieces, so the challenge will be to, you know, try to match that. This is an interesting example of this time period. So many architectural elements were available for purchase by catalog. So you could order it the same way you might order something off the internet today. It's not anything to diminish the quality of this. It's just to say that this was something that, you know, you could kind of buy off the shelf and deploy very creatively in this kind of entrance situation. And the same with the side lights and the transom overhead. I mean, clearly all from the same section of the catalog. They all coordinate. The hardware, same thing. Like the hardware in this house, every doorknob, every plate matches. And the fact that it has survived in so many cases, that you've still got the original doorknob, that hasn't been lost. So stained glass conservator, stonemason, we talked about, plaster, millwork, lighting. I mean, all of these are trades that we're going to need people who are really expert in. And, you know, it's always the case. It's like, you know, we can design things to a certain point, but when it comes to the means and methods of actually restoring something like this, we're going to rely heavily on those craftspeople to bring their A game.
Absolutely, and that's one of the true joys, I think, of doing this rehabilitation work, is that we get to seek out those super talented people and get to know them, and they become part of our team, they become part of the project stewardship, and then hopefully we get to continue to work with them going forward.
No, it's definitely going to take a big team to do this house.
Yeah, and passion.
Yes,
People
exactly.
so far that I've brought through, and I think you've experienced the same, everybody that walks in this door becomes a fan of the house.
Yeah.
And I think that level of stewardship transferring to the build team, the neighbors, the community, it's the best bet, I think, to keep these old houses going forward.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Every time I walk in here, it just kind of takes my breath away.
It sure does, and I've been in here a lot lately, and I have to say that it just gets more and more grand. Every time I walk through the door, I see something different, and the quality of the detailing in this space, you don't see this anymore. People don't build this way anymore.
And then I especially love this original push-button plate. Oh,
Yes.
and the light comes on. It's not an original light, but look at this. This house has seen some wear and tear. There's definitely elements that are going to need restoration. But for the most part, this is a preservation project because so much original detail is still here. Even the finish on all of this woodwork. I mean, can you imagine if somebody had actually painted this white at some point? Like, we'd be stripping paint for the rest of our lives, but we've got the original finish with its aged patina that we can preserve. And fortunately, our clients love that about this house.
Yeah, it is pretty mind-blowing to look at this and imagine if what was typical had happened, which is that this would be all painted white and our hearts would have
Or
sunk.
just stripped
Or
completely.
stripped. Absolutely, not here at all.
Yeah. This house has been a single-family house since the time it was built. It was never broken up into apartments. It never became a fraternity house. So that is definitely part of the reason that it's so well preserved. what I think is really interesting about this front parlor is that the wood changes. So this wood is different than the wood in the rest of the public spaces. It's this bird's eye maple. And it's actually called out in that real estate promotional brochure about the house. So it was like an elevated material that they were very proud of using. But it gives, this like a more formal kind of elegant character in this room.
And it just differentiates it as being a special room, maybe the most well suited for receiving guests and entertaining, and just differentiates it from the others a little bit.
Very impressive. And this beautiful fireplace mantle, the bird's eye maple. I love, this mottled tile with this glaze on it, and it kind of echoes that Roman tile, that long, skinny,
that
like Roman
proportion.
brick from the outside. Again, this was a very modern, up-to-date house, so these weren't wood-burning fireplaces. Like they would have been connected to a central heating system. So it's got this kind of decorative coal element here. We're gonna have to do some more research onto how those originally operated. Do the clients want to have some sort of simulated fireplace in here? Those are decisions that we can make, but I do think that that's probably original and something that I want to explore more.
It'll be great to learn more about it all.
So we move from the front parlor into an equally grand room, but before we get into that, I love a pocket door. I mean, look. Oh, okay, so it still operates a little bit, but I feel it catching right there.
Yeah.
What does that suggest to you?
Over time, things have settled. We may have some issues to correct in the basement from a support standpoint, but these doors should ideally move very freely. Gorgeous hardware matches the rest.
Yeah, that's that same suite of hardware. And you know what I'm realizing looking here? So it's the bird's eye maple on this side, and it's this quarter sawn oak on this side. So these are veneer panels.
Well,
It's really like being very literal about the difference between this space and this space.
yeah.
The dining room, something that you get as soon as you walk into this house is the flow, and there's no square room.
Yep.
And this is a perfect example. There is an angle everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in this beautiful coffered ceiling. This is an octagon. We're in an octagon
We're in an
dining room.
octagon. So I would have imagined originally that their table was sort of centered and the room just unfolded around it. And the space was so much about the architecture and less about the furnishings in it.
Yeah, yeah. But again, a focal point of this room is this magnificent fireplace mantle.
And another very beautifully detailed, I would imagine, cast iron element.
Yeah. Something that took me a minute, but when I first saw this, I realized that this is all that same tile. It's just been painted. Why would somebody have done that?
Why? And this feels recent.
But you see, it's starting to peel
Yep.
on the hearth here, and more of this like gorgeous mottled tile. I wonder if this is blue also, or are they coordinating? Are they the same tile? So we'll do some very delicate conservation and peeling of this paint so that we can restore that.
Of all the things that have been painted in this house, I think this is pretty lucky that we're just dealing with this one section of painted tile as opposed to all of the woodwork throughout.
Yeah.
It's really this zone here, and this is doable. We can find the right system and recipe and really work to pull things back.
We're starting to wrap around into probably some of the more private space. But before we go in there, something that I really love is the way that, there are all these doors. And where do these doors lead? This one leads to a little triangular closet.
So the result of all these octagonal spaces.
Yeah, you get all these little cubbies hidden throughout.
that are used in a very clever way. And it actually, looking at it from a distance, it creates a bit of a threshold from this more grand dining room into what I think was probably more of a breakfast room.
Yeah.
Just darling and charming.
Yeah.
Still the same incredible woodwork.
Yeah, I mean, this wainscoting that goes kind of halfway up the wall, we should say that the ceilings are very high, so they're at least 10 feet.
Yeah.
And so you've got this wainscoting that comes up. It's this very tight grained oak, which is, you know, a nice quality material. Again, that original finish that hasn't been messed with. This space is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's right off the kitchen on the way to the dining room. I could see it being a breakfast room. You know, part of the design challenge is how to make these spaces work for a modern family.
Absolutely, and I think our biggest design challenge in this house is the kitchen. And there may be a scenario where we have to figure out how to incorporate this into the kitchen in a slightly different way to allow for enough space to have a proper kitchen.
Yeah, but we're not going to touch this wainscoting.
We are
right?
not going to touch the wainscoting. And it very well may just want to live as its own breakfast nook. It's
very much part of the character of the house. Again, another octagon. So we're going to have to be creative.
Yeah, we'll be creative and we'll do things with purpose and intention and respect for sure.
Kitchens are often the spaces that have been most renovated over time. Kitchens and bathrooms, just because of technology, the evolution of taste. So we wouldn't expect to see an original circa 1899 kitchen in this house. We do see a kitchen that served a purpose, and I'm sure it was very thoughtfully designed and was great for its lifespan, but its lifespan is now over.
It is very much over.
So we're back in the entrance hall, and I mean, there's so much to look at. You can see how this would have been so impressive when you walked in. But I love how the focus shifts from this grand entrance to this very cozy kind of inglenook here, which was so typical of the time period. This idea of home and hearth and domesticity, and that you'd have this like cozy little place with a fireplace. Actually, that would have been a gas fireplace there. But again, original tile, hearth and surround, and this petite little mantle with the over mirror. This could be original glass here. But the scale is so different, like the ceiling drops
it's so
here,
cozy.
and you feel very cozy, and I love these radiators.
Yeah, those are spectacular, and this is actually my favorite space in the whole house. I would love to pull up a chair in front of the fire in this little nook and read. It just feels so contained in contrast to the rest of the house, and I think it's so interesting to have it standing right here sort of in juxtaposition to this very, very grand entry. I think that one of the reasons that this is here, it is obviously under the landing upstairs, so naturally we have this space, and for them to be so creative with how to make it something useful and special in the house, especially in contrast to the big grand gesture of the entry that it's adjacent to. Everything is scaled down here in contrast to the rest of the house where the moves are really big, and this is definitely petite. Adjacent to this nook is this element here, and historically you would imagine that this door would lead us to the basement.
Yeah, because we're underneath the main
stair.
staircase. Or a coat closet, or some kind of just utilitarian space.
Yep.
But this is one of my favorite things about this house. I know you're not in complete agreement with this.
I'm not, but it might grow on me over time.
Should we go check it out?
Let's check it out.